Recording in progress.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the February 4th, 2026 Board of County Commissioners for Thurston County Board Work Session. We're here at the atrium. In the room we have Commissioners Grant and Klaus. Online we have Commissioner Mejia. Commissioner Menser is excused as he's out of state on county business. First order of business is we will invite up County Treasurer, who will give us a 2025 refund report. Treasurer Gadman, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for this. This is a report that I'm required in statute to give to you every February. It's just a statement of fact. These are the refund checks that we wrote last year. Refunds happen because Board of Equalization rulings, senior exemptions granted, people have destroyed property so they get credit, and that sort of thing. You see the longest list is the senior exemptions granted. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for the treasurer?
And I'm sorry, I just want to add the total amount here, the 5.3 million is right in line with, it's anywhere from 3 to 6 million from memory.
Okay, I have questions.
Yeah.
I raised my hand. Will you tell me, let's see, so what the differences are between the reasons? So like like what would cause a refund for the Board of Equalization? And then like what is check over? And I looked at this today. There's another one. Like destroyed property, just those things.
So the Board of Equalization is where somebody has challenged their property assessed value, and the Board of Equalization has reduced that value. So that will generate a refund if they've already paid their taxes. Check over, somebody's taxes, are $2,650 and they send us $2,675. So we send them the $25 back.
Okay.
Destroyed property is where somebody has had, like they've torn down a shed that the assessor had previously captured in their value, or, a tree has hit their house, or a fire or something. It's just basically property that's been damaged that's reduced the value of their property.
And does somebody have to come in and let you know that, and then they ask for a reduction?
That's through the assessor's office. There's a form that the assessor has, and they file it. And then the assessor has to go out and verify that the property has been destroyed, and then they adjust the value accordingly.
Okay. And then exemptions?
That's the senior veteran exemption program.
Oh, okay. And then manifest error?
That is where the assessor has discovered a mistake in fact on the property. So, the appraiser went out there, it looked like the way curtains are and stuff, that the basement's finished. And the person calls and says, hey, my basement isn't finished. So again, the assessor verifies that. And then they'll adjust the value accordingly.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought that, so the Board of Equalization one, that I was just kind of shocked when I saw that we gave that, so Kaiser Foundation, it was the very last one, and on this, and it was for $201,000, and I just thought, oh my gosh, okay, so they came in and said that, is it because they're a nonprofit or something?
No, it's because they challenge the property value, and they have to present their side and say, here's why we think the assessor got the value wrong. The assessor, if they feel like they're right, they'll defend the value, and then the Board of Equalization is an arbiter between the two. And it's just a reduced value, and those last few there that are so high, it's just because their value reductions were very significant.
And their probably total value is extremely high to begin with.
Yes.
Right, I would assume,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, it's the first time I've really seen.
No,
this,
that's
so, yeah,
okay.
thanks, that really helped for me to understand what I'm looking at, okay.
All right, any other questions for the treasurer?
All right.
Thanks,
you,
Jeff.
sir.
Thank you all very much. Enjoy your day.
Next item, legislative priorities, district court.
This is a quick follow-up item. There was recently some changes that required district court to process through the fines that folks were getting up on the Capitol, and that was gonna create an increased workload. We had talked about this several weeks ago.
For the parking ticket
Correct.
scenario
Yep.
where they were gonna start enforcing parking again at the Capitol.
Right, and we just wanted to see if we could get board direction to add this to our legislative priorities so we could advocate for commensurate funding to the workload that they've created for district court.
Is there a bill currently in session that we would be supporting?
And no, not that we know of.
There was a notice that went out that said that the state was gonna be pivoting from, so like State Patrol used to do enforcement of parking on the Capitol campus. They stopped doing that, and then a notice went out saying that DES was gonna start doing it, like their groundskeepers. And then district court sent a notice to us saying that we don't know what that's gonna be, but we imagine that's gonna be some significant workload to us. And we should have a talk with the state about that, and that's,
Okay.
So we didn't want to do that unless we receive board direction. But it does make sense that if we can start to prime the conversation, it'd be helpful.
Commissioner Mejia?
Thank you, County Manager. I think it's definitely worthwhile, but I've had conversations with Frankie Peters from District Court about this, and I know that they're going to be tracking it this year, and so maybe instead of just advocating for funds this year, we kind of put the legislator in a kind of, we are going to be tracking this information and sending it over to you, because I know Frankie said that, he would be tracking that information of the increase in caseload and the increase in cost to district court. But also I think it's worthwhile to understand, we do get a percentage already from WSP on those kind of tickets, but I'm not unsure of how much it actually is. And that might not cover the costs associated with us doing the work. So I think having that full information of what is the percentage that we receive on those tickets, and then the costs associated with actually processing that work.
I think you're right. I would be inclined to direct staff to work with the district court to like suss out the information. I think it would be hard to go and right now look for, operational funds to cover something, especially if we haven't figured out exactly what it's cost us. But doing it while we're also trying to advocate for a superior court's what is the cost?
Judicial reimbursements.
Yeah, the judicial reimbursement, like that, we're hitting the drum on that, and I think it's being heard, but like the legislators we're talking to are familiar with that conversation, and we've just kind of reintroduced them, because we have talked about this with several. Hey, are you aware that they're gonna start doing traffic again, and it's gonna be costing our courts? And it's been kind of it was a novel thing for the folks that I know I've spoke to about it and that Deb has spoke to about it. So I don't know, would it be appropriate to ask, looking at the county manager, is that the request, that you guys are looking for direction to work with district court to figure this out, or what do you?
Yeah, I think Commissioner Mejia's suggestion is great. And I think that what we could also look to do is not only give Frankie some time to calculate that information together, but when we do the full cost recovery new rate study, we can build that in and get actually an impact dollar amount, so that when we're talking to our delegation, we can actually quantify it. So I agree that we will work with Frankie on that and update the board at a later time.
Do you feel like you need some kind of motion, or you feel like you've got a clear understanding with the board on that direction?
I think we would have done this anyways. I just didn't want to miss if the board wanted us do something in this session, but it's a short one, it's already moving, and since Commissioner Klaus has mentioned, there's no bill, or she asked, but there is no bill at play. There's really no action to say, but we can prime the pump and come back to the board with Frankie once we identify what the impact is.
Mr. Klaus?
Thank you. You read my mind. I was gonna ask if we could have Frankie or someone at the table to talk about this a little more, so we can hear directly from them. That would help me with any additional context they might provide, but that's perfect. It sounds like you're already on that track, so that's what I was gonna ask for.
Yeah, we'll bring him.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion on this matter? Perfect timing. Next item on the agenda is executive session. This is executive session under RCW 42.30.1101 subsection I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. This will be for approximately 20 minutes. Board action may follow.
Recording in progress.
All right, thank you. We've returned from our executive session. No action is to be taken based on the executive session. Next on the agenda is commissioners' items. We have nothing on the agenda for commissioners' items. We'll move to commissioner reports on committees. I gave one last night yesterday evening at the commissioner meeting, so I have nothing to update since then. Commissioner Mejia, do you have a report?
Yeah, I said so Law Library Board meeting, we met, they're looking, kind of to expand, some kiosk services. And so right now they're looking into that, probably expanding it into family juvenile court. So they're going to, be reaching out to central services to see if that's something that, can be coordinated at FJC. That's my major.
Okay, Commissioner Grant?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, I wanted to mention that, I already mentioned yesterday about the Lewis Mason Thurston, AAA has this new elderhood series. And it's called, it's an Elderhood Senior Alliance. I'm just gonna mention it again, that we really, do need to get more active, you know, if you guys, so when you're out in your groups, if you could be mentioning that we need more advocacy from our elder group. I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with this, is that we've got this, group of people who are working in both Mason County and in Thurston County, to really bring, seniors to the table, because we need more lived experience and more voices. And we've got, some really good, folks who are out trying to do that. The other thing that I want to mention is that Transportation Policy Board, I'm trying to find it, just give me 1 second. We actually just updated, gosh, I'm sorry, we updated our, agenda, and it said that, you know, that we're a call cycle behind on the, rural, looks like. Anyway, it looks like there's gonna be a new call for projects for, rural community grants, and so I think that's pretty exciting, and, just to know that that's coming, and, that it looks like we're gonna get more than we thought, and so, just letting you know, that will be coming up for both Commissioner Mejia and myself in the next week with the Transportation Policy Board, so, and that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Grant. Commissioner Klaus?
Thank you, Vice Chair. So as I mentioned last night, we had a Regional Housing Council meeting, and I didn't go into too much detail during our community reports yesterday, but I do have information if the board has questions. We addressed the letter that was received from all of the mayors and the chair of the board related to ERP funding and contingency planning. We had a pretty robust discussion about next steps, and we have a drafted letter that the Regional Housing Council will be sending in response, just kind of outlining what risks are on the table right now in terms of funding. The most immediate and substantial risks are a loss of funding for Quinn Street and Unity Commons. And then the second, more intermediate long-term risk is a potential reduction in ERP funding from the current annual funding level, which is about just a little over 5.5 million. One question or addition to the letter, I spoke with Commissioner Mejia, and she had a great suggestion, is to clarify the dollar amount for Quinn Street Village and Unity Commons, so that we can kind of see like what's the dollar amount that's actually at immediate risk that we're talking about in the letter. This is just a draft version, so we'll be sending this out pretty soon, once we gather all the feedback, which is almost done. So some of the solutions presented in the letter are increasing ERP funding as a top legislative priority and allowing for more flexibility to determine how to use ERP funds. One example of why flexibility would be important is what happened with the Department of Commerce and how the county manager did a great job of advocating after having some meetings. And we were able to have Commerce kind of be more understanding about our position and our funding decisions. So allowing for more flexibility would be helpful as well. So we can really address the on-the-ground needs based on our community. And so this letter kind of outlines those steps. in the conversation we had, we actually talked about a list of things we would do. And writing the letter was just the first step. So the proposed solution at RHC, there was like a 4-point proposed solution. The first point was the letter, the response letter that we have drafted, that would be taken back to jurisdictions for a conversation, which is what's happening now. And then the 3 other points we decided to hold off on until we had conversations with our jurisdictions. So those proposed solutions included RHC recommending approval of an award of $400,000 using excess county local revenue from 2025 to the city of Olympia to be used to support operations at Quinn Street Village. That was a proposed solution. We didn't decide to move forward with that yet because we wanted to have conversations with jurisdictions. The third recommendation was that the RHC makes a request of the Homeless Services Advisory Board to make a recommendation back to RHC on how to allocate the projected $450,000 of unallocated 2026 local revenue for projects during the 26-27 state fiscal year, with a preference that the funds be distributed for Quint Street and Unity Commons. And then the fourth one was the RHC requests Thurston County Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention to lead an effort to identify priority projects and activities for the homeless response system in the event of future funding shortfalls, and to do so in consultation with the RHC Tech Team, HASAB, and the Lived Experience Housing Steering Committee and the Housing Action Team, which serves as the local continuum of care. So those 3 last ones are part of the plan, but first we're going to be sending this letter out and seeing what jurisdictions say in response before we move forward on any of those actions. We just kind of wanted to make sure that jurisdictions feel like we're on the right track before we move forward with some of those other decisions. So that was the update on the ERP funding contingency plan.
Commissioner Klaus, I think that it would be great if Josh and I could loop you in on a conversation. Senator Bateman reached out asking for some background information on how the funding components work in light of the letter that Commerce sent us.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had some great technical questions and talked that through. And I think Josh rightly looped in the city of Olympia because some of that conversation needs to take place with them. But I think it kind of goes to what I believe the intent of the mayor's was and how we approach this. Kind of the fundamental bottom line is if folks are housed today in different projects that the county has worked so hard to secure, how do we look to keep those folks housed so that we're not vacating them? And my thought about what the tech team presented is I'd actually like them to go a little bit deeper and have Rick, city manager for Lacey, and Jay, city manager for Olympia, and the new city administrator for Tumwater, make sure they're sitting down so we can project out to see if there's any other funding sources that might be at risk. Because it feels like over the last couple of years, we've been scrambling, and through no fault of anybody's, but with the news from the state and the feds.
Mm-hmm.
So happy to get you involved in some of those conversations as the vice chair. But we may want to just make sure we're looking at all available options of funding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a great time because with I think you mentioned it, was it yesterday at the meeting, how you're one of the only members that came on over.
Yeah, I'm the only one.
And so there were a lot of new voices, which is great and exciting, but we may need to do some context building. Because my read was some of the other representatives may not have understood the complete context since this was their first meeting. And we would want to just make sure everyone understands it so they're not confused.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. We've had some emails regarding Timberland Regional Library and some funding stuff that they're going through, and we don't have none of us sit on their board. We assign somebody to sit on their board. I'm curious if maybe it might be appropriate to have maybe their director come and give us an update or like let us know what's going on. Commissioner Klaus?
I still had another update.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. That was the RHC one. We also talked a little bit about the Franz Anderson project at the meeting, but I wanted to give another shout out. I did this yesterday. Forgive me, you've all heard this before. As part of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Council, since I'm a representative on that council as well, I wanted to bring up the home energy score ordinance policy. We have a great webpage where you can see what that's all about. And the reason I'm bringing it up again is because we have a public hearing coming up on the 17th. Is that right? February 17th? For home energy score? Okay, that's what I thought. So public hearing on February 17th. Folks can come in and give verbal comment at the public hearing, or they can submit written comment online on our website. But the home energy score, I really liked the analogy that we heard at the study meeting of it being kind of like a Carfax for your car. But it's an energy score for when you buy a home, so you see the energy efficiency level. And I think it's a really great way to kind of inform the community on what they're buying and how they can help with just climate mitigation in general by having more energy efficient homes. So if we could get more feedback, that'd be great. If folks think that it can be improved, we wanna know. If people think it's great, we wanna know. So I was just plugging that, and again, wanna thank staff for working on that, but that's all I've got.
Thank you. My comment regarding TRL, did anybody have any thoughts?
They have reached out, TRL, to schedule, they come every year to give an update, and so the clerk had already been engaged, so that might dovetail nicely.
Okay.
For them to, it was a regular schedule, they normally come in the spring, so we can get that scheduled. And we can also send over any information that's coming to county commissioners, make sure we're sending it to TLR so that they're also seeing the comments that are coming through.
Show me here.
Thank you, Commissioner Fournier. I think that's definitely something, I think there was an article this weekend in the newspaper about their financial situation, which honestly caught me off guard. Kind of what we've been hearing is that they've been pretty stable. They've gone through different remodels. Tumwater just went through their remodel, which is fantastic. I know my kids love it, but I am concerned about what is being reported, and so I think getting an update on kind of how we landed here would be great to know from either whoever, either a representative or Cheryl as the executive director. So just letting them know that maybe that is a question at least I have is about their budget.
Maybe we can move the briefing sooner rather than later. We'll schedule that.
Okay. Any other commissioner items, reports, committees? County manager, you got anything before we close? All right, meeting adjourned, thank you.